Welcome to the Daily Uplift Official. For encouragement you can count on. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're part of our growing community, thank you for coming back. Today I want to talk to you about something that has the power to change not only your mindset, but also the direction of your life. The title of today's message is Pronounce the Blessing, Not the Problem. Many of us spend so much time talking about what's wrong that we forget to recognize what's right. We talk about the obstacle, we talk about the disappointment, we talk about the setback, we talk about the bad news. And before long, the problem becomes bigger than in our minds than it actually is. But what if we start speaking differently? What if we start focusing on the blessing instead of the burden? What if we start magnifying what's working instead of constantly rehearsing what isn't? Today, I want to encourage you to pronounce the blessing, not the problem. Let's get into it. Every day you're speaking something over your life. Whether you realize it or not, your words matter. Your words influence your attitude. Your attitude influences your actions. Your actions influence your future. Many people wake up in the morning and immediately start listing everything that's wrong. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'll never get ahead. Nothing ever works out for me. Life is so hard. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes life is hard. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. Sometimes we face real challenges. But if all you ever talk about is the problem, eventually the problem becomes your identity. You begin to see yourself through the lens of difficulty instead of possibility. Think about how often we overlook blessings that we once prayed for. There was a time when you prayed for the job, now you complain about it. There was a time you prayed for the house that you're now frustrated with. There was a time when you prayed for the opportunities you currently take for granted. And there was a time when you prayed for another day of life. But familiarity has a way of making blessings invisible. The things we once celebrated becomes things we expect. The things we once appreciated becomes things we overlooked. And that's why gratitude is so important. Gratitude reminds us of what we have instead of obsessing over what we lack. The truth is, your focus determines your perspective. Two people can walk through the exact same situation and see completely different things. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. One sees limitations, the other sees possibilities. One sees a reason to quit, the other sees a reason to keep going. The circumstances may be identical, but the difference is what they choose to focus on. Your focus is powerful. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. If you consistently focus on what's broken, you'll feel broken. If you consistently feel or focus on what's missing, you'll always feel deprived. But if you focus on what's still working, you'll begin to recognize blessings that were there all along. Let's talk about storms because everyone faces them. Financial storms, health storms, relationship storms, career storms, emotional storms. Now, no one is exempt. But here's what I've learned. The storm doesn't get the final say. Just because you're in a difficult season doesn't mean you're living a cursed life. Just because you're facing challenges doesn't mean you've been abandoned. Sometimes we're focused on the rain that we miss the fact that we're still standing. The storm may be strong, but you're still here. The challenge may be real, but so is your strength. The obstacles may be large, but so is your blessing. One of the reasons people stay discouraged is because they spend too much time rehearsing negative thoughts. They repeat the same worries, the same fears, the same disappointments, the same worst case scenarios over and over and over again. And eventually those thoughts become beliefs. When you repeatedly tell yourself, what you repeatedly tells yourself becomes what you start to accept as truth. That's why it's important to guard your words. Not because you're pretending problems don't exist, but because you're refusing to let problems become bigger than they really are. Acknowledging a problem is wisdom. Living in the problem is bondage. Have you ever noticed that some people can find something wrong with almost everything? Give them sunshine and they'll complain about the heat. Give them rain and they'll complain about the weather. Give them an opportunity and they'll focus on the risk. Give them a blessing and they'll find a reason to criticize it. The issue isn't their circumstances. The issue is their perspective. And if we're not careful, we can become those people. We can become so conditioned to looking for problems that we miss miracles. So conditioned to expect disappointment that we overlook blessings. So focused on what's missing that we fail to appreciate what's present. Let me ask you something. What if the breakthrough you're waiting for starts with a shift in perspective? What if the blessing isn't something that's coming? What if it's something that's already here? What if you've been asking for more while overlooking what you've already been given? Think about it. You may not have everything you want, but do you have something to be thankful for? You may not be where you want to be, but you're further than where you started. You may not have all the answers, but you've survived things you once thought would destroy you. Those are blessings, and they deserve to be recognized. So sometimes we become so consumed with the next chapter that we fail to appreciate the current one. We're always chasing, always striving, always looking ahead. And while there's nothing wrong with ambition, don't let ambition rob you of your appreciation. Don't become so focused on tomorrow that you fail to enjoy today, because today's blessing may become tomorrow's memory. And one day you'll look back and realize that what seemed ordinary was actually extraordinary. Pronouncing the blessing doesn't mean denying reality. It means choosing faith over fear. It means choosing gratitude over bitterness. It means choosing hope over despair. It means recognizing that even in difficult situations, there is still something good worth acknowledging. Maybe the blessing isn't the journey. Maybe the blessing isn't that the journey is easy. Maybe the blessing is that you're still moving forward. Maybe the blessing isn't that everything is perfect. Maybe the blessing is that you're growing. Maybe the blessing isn't that the storm has ended. Maybe the blessing is that you're becoming stronger because of it. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is starting your day with gratitude. Before checking your phone, before strolling social media, before reviewing your problems, take a moment to recognize your blessings. Thank God for another day. Thank God for another opportunity. Thank God for another chance to grow. Thank God for the strength to keep moving, because when gratitude becomes a habit, peace often follows. And when peace follows, clarity begins to appear. Here's something that I've learned. People who consistently focus on problems become exhausted. People who recognize blessings become energized. Why? because gratitude fuels hope, and hope fuels perseverance. When you recognize how far you've come, you're more willing to keep going. When you recognize what you've survived, you're more confident about what you can overcome. When you recognize your blessings, your perspective changes. When your perspective changes, your life begins to change. Some of you watching today are carrying heavy burdens. You have real struggles, real concerns, real disappointments. And I don't want to minimize any of that. But I want to encourage you, don't let your problems become the loudest voice in your life. Don't let your challenges define your future. Don't let your circumstances determine your outlook. There's still blessings in your story. Today, make a decision. Stop giving your attention or all of your attention to what's wrong. Stop rehearsing every negative possibility. Stop magnifying every setback. Instead, start recognizing the blessing. Recognize the progress, recognize the growth, recognize the opportunities, recognize the people who support you, recognize the strength you've gained, recognize the grace that has carried you thus far. Because the more you focus on blessings, the more you'll realize how many you actually have. The problem may be real, but the blessing is real too. The obstacles may be real, but so are the opportunity. The chaos or the challenge may be real, but so is your ability to overcome it. So don't spend your life constantly pronouncing the problem. Speak about the blessing, celebrate the blessing, recognize the blessing, and watch how your perspective begins to transform. Thank you for spending this time with me on the Daily Uplift Official. For encouragement you can count on. If this message encouraged you, inspired you, or challenged you to see your life differently, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. And remember, you don't have to ignore your problems, but you don't have to give them all your attention either. Look for the blessing, speak the blessing, celebrate the blessing, because what you focus on grows. Until next time, stay encouraged, stay grateful, and keep uplifting yourself and others every single day. And I'll see you in the next video.